The first one will be a special one with music and that kind of stuff, so I'll leave it up to them. Give me a big give a big hand to Marit and Hanno.
Yeah, so we didn't bring a story, we brought songs, and there will be a quiz, so grab your phone if you want to join the quiz. There will be a prize for the winner. You can win a 1-year license for IntelliJ IDEA. I have it right here. So use the QR code to log on to the quiz. I'll start the quiz shortly. And I'll explain what the quiz is. So it all started when I read a tweet that said, I realized that you can sing Public Static Void Main to Everybody Dance Now, and I can't stop doing it.
Public Static Void Main.
So there you go. And I retweeted that because I love silliness. I'm a very serious professional, damn it. And someone replied that this also works with Vamos a la Playa.
Public Static Void Main. Oh. Public Static Void Main. Oh.
So, as you might know, Hanno has a talk called What Stairways to Heaven Tells You About Software Development. So I told Hanno about this, and I said, you know what we should do? We should do a pop quiz with songs that you can sing Public Static Void Main to. So a little while later, Hanno contacted me and said, yes, so I looked at the top 2,000, and I found 15 songs. Do you think that's enough? Yes, it is. We won't do all 15 songs, though, because we only have 5 minutes. And of course, Oracle had to ruin the joke, because they will change Public Static Void Main to Void Main, so...
I've got mixed feelings about this, yep. I admit, yeah.
A little bit. Or we have to find lots of songs that you can sing Void Main to, I don't know. Yeah. So, if you want to connect with us, we are on socials. Without further ado, since we only have 5 minutes, is everybody logged on to the quiz? Does anybody still need the QR code? Or the link? I have to press play. Press play. Okay?
Yeah, now you have control.
Okay. Oh, and I have to actually press the buttons. No shortcuts in this software. Who does that?
Public Static Void Main. Public Static Void Main.
Okay, so I created all of these GIFs where your favorite IDE will actually write the lyrics. I hope they're loading on your phone because they're not loading on here. Should I restart maybe?
Good try. I was hoping we would have internet here. But, Does it start from the beginning now, or?
Probably.
And there we go.
Yeah.
Now it's loading.
Now they're loading. So name that song if you, because the quiz restarted probably.
Yeah, probably have to enter your answer again if you did it before.
Okay. And now if I click, it should go to... So the song obviously was We Will Rock You by Queen.
Well done.
And let's see, okay, we have 3 people playing. We need more people playing.
The competition.
Is still loading? Connection problem.
Okay, let's just continue, right?
Fun times, okay. Next song.
Public Static Void Main, string array arcs, system out print line. Oh baby, baby.
So obviously that was Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears, which brings guest 714 to the top of the leaderboard. Woohoo! Lovely name.
30 seconds.
Naming
30
things.
seconds.
Oh. Next song, next song, next song.
It's a void main, a public static void main, public static void. Main.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly skip to the next song.
Yes. Fourth song. Public static void main. Oh, public static void main.
And also, girls just want to have fundamental rights anyway.
Public static void main. Static void main. Public static void main is what we say. It's very easy lyrics. I like it. Don't have to
Oh, that was
remember
Go Your
anything.
Own Way by Fleetwood Mac. No, we don't want to do it again.
Final one?
Final one. Okay.
Everyone. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa,
Public static void main.
take my hand. We'll make it, I'll swear. Whoa,
Public static void main.
very well done.
All right, give him a big hand. You were just slightly like 33% overtime, but
Oh, no.
we
Okay,
enjoyed
you know.
it. And the technical issues, we give you that one, but
So if guest 714 can come collect their prize with me.
who was guest
Who was guest
71543
something
Static
or
Void
other?
Main?
Woo!
All right.
No.
All right, now we go on with the regular Ignite sessions. So this means that
Gefeliciteerd.
we will go on and load the actual slide deck. And who's the first person? Ooh, we're already there. Loudens. Loudens, come on, Loudens. So you will get the mic from me, and when I say, or when we say go, then your 5 minutes are going. And again, obviously, how many software engineers do you need to create a good resolution? It's always hard. And I want to say it's a hardware problem, so it's not anything from us.
Yeah. And there we go. Have you ever started working on a new project and you were explained the business logic and it all sounded quite simple, but then you opened up the project and you were baffled by the complexity of it. And you thought, wow, why don't we throw everything away and start over new? It will all be better. Well, meet Ryan. Ryan is one of the minimalists, and he was living the American dream, having a large house, a lot of stuff, but he was feeling a void, something which needed to be fulfilled. So he took quite a radical change, and he actually packed up all his belonging in a couple of boxes, and he put these boxes in the center of his house, and during the next 3 weeks, he would only unpack what he really needed. And by doing this, he could get rid of 80% of all his stuff, and because of that, he was having less debt and also more time to find his purpose. And it's always hard to find your purpose, and especially focus on the long term, because focusing on the short term won't really bring you anywhere. So what can we get rid of when looking at our code? Well, the best place to start is actually looking at your dependencies, right? It's code you didn't write yourself, so let's just get rid of it. So do you really need multiple mocking frameworks or multiple JSON libraries? I think you don't. So let's get rid of them. And also remember that every dependency you have is a potential vulnerability. So shout out to Brian over there, because this WISO serial exploit kit shows you that just having one of these dependencies on your class path, you don't even need to use it, can get your remote code executions on your server, so you really don't want that. Also, you can get rid of your dead code, but after that, also have a look at your zombie endpoints. So which of these endpoints are actually never called in production? Well, we had a look at that with our team, and we could get rid of a bunch of code, and because of that, the migration which followed was easier. As developers, it's always relatively easy to find time to add more stuff to our project, right? Make new features, maybe take some shortcuts to get it delivered to production on time, but it's harder to go back, revisit, and make everything simpler. So here's an example of space rockets, and I would say that actually in the third iteration with my untrained eye, everything looks more simple than the first two iterations. And probably it's also easier to reason about and even more reliable. So this is the FizzBus exercise, the classic. If a number is divisible by 3, you print fizz, and if it's divisible by 5, you print buzz. And on the top, I showed you the shortest Java solution I could find. It's short, but is it simple? I wouldn't really say so. So short and simple is not the same. Also meet Marie Kondo. She's one of the decluttering influencers. And she says, don't underestimate the noise of written information. You can eliminate visual information and make your space more peaceful and comfortable. And I can say that we can learn something from that in Java as well. So here you see some exceptions from the Java long library. And I would say that on the right, the meaning is still preserved, but it just feels a lot more airy and simple and easier to read. But of course, naming things is one of the 2 hardest problems in computer science, right? Cache invalidation, naming things, and off-by-1 errors are the 2 hardest things. But let's get back to complexity. So the first image I showed you was a rather complex slide, and actually it's much bigger than that. So this is only a portion, and even at this level, the details are astonishing. And this is the financial system, which is very complex, but also the financial crisis show that it's can be unreliable at moments. So that's actually why Satoshi Nakamoto invented Bitcoin, and this is the full white paper. So basically, this describes the fundamentals of the blockchain, and he wanted really to simplify the financial system and cut out some middlemen. And I would say that Bitcoin by itself really stayed true to its purpose, right? So the fundamentals didn't change while other blockchains were innovating further and further. And just by being this reliable standard, they are bringing a lot of value, at least in the eyes of some. So this is the value for 1 Bitcoin over the past year, up until last week, because yesterday another thing happened. But people also want to make money out of this, right? So they actually needed the language to talk about these graphs. So wow, really complex, right? The top shows how they would really use patterns to identify patterns in the graph and talk about it. But at the bottom, you can show that you can also really overdo this. And that's something we as Java developers can also do. So this is the enterprise version of the same FizzBus. It's astonishing 3,500 lines of code, but it has all your patterns, factories, loops, and strategies inside of it. So to conclude, a very minimalistic slide. I think we are way overcomplicating things often. So please try to keep it simple. Simple is not easy, it's hard. Find your purpose and get rid of all the excess. Thanks a lot.
Wow. Wow. First of all, this is what I call impeccable timing. Like, it was looking like he was clicking, he was not. So, sorry?
Very well
anyway,
done. Yeah.
Laurens, thank you so much. Let's get the next person up. Who's the next one?
Yes, next up is a brief history of bugs by the worst developer in the world. Welcome.
So, Jos, when we say go, you go. 3,
Ready?
2, 1, go.
Okay, welcome everyone. You already know my name is Jos, but you don't know that I won the worst developer in the World Cup beginning of this year. Now, how did I achieve that? I achieved that by writing a piece of code that you see here. It ran a little under a second on my machine, and well, I expected it to run a bit longer on production, but it needed to run only twice an hour. So what could possibly happen? But then it got deployed. And well, this is actually the last picture of me with hair. It took way longer on production to run, causing instances to fail, which make me feel terrible. So yeah, what should I have done? Of course, I should have used representative data, ideally on my local system, but I had to make sure, of course, that in staging we had that. So talking this over with a colleague, feeling myself really bad,
he was telling me, yeah, well, we all make mistakes. I once worked at a bank and I was the reason for a $200,000 transaction going wrong. And well, that reminded me of another colleague who was telling me, well, I was just developing and having some good fun, and after testing some stuff, I truncated a table of my local database. But, well, yeah, of course, it was not his local database. The users instantly could not log on anymore. So that was terrible, and we were already with 3 in our club of worst developers in the world. Here you see our team photo. It's really a fun club. It's very good. So I continued thinking, well, maybe there are even more worse developers in the world, and it turns there are. So let me take you to the story of Knight Capital. They worked 17 years quite hard to become the largest trader in the US with $365 million in cash and equivalents, which is impressive, until August 1. Because on August 1, they deployed a new version, and in just 45 minutes, they lost $460 million, meaning the end of the company. So how did they do that? Let's look a bit in their money-making code, which was basically this method where they did some stuff, and then they had some test code where they would trade with a money-losing configuration, and they guarded that by a flag that was always false in production, because of course you don't want that in a production. And it ran in a while loop and called some trade method, where they would trade according to the configuration and updated the state, so that in the end the while loop, of course, would terminate. Well, that ran fine until 2003, where they decided, well, this might not be the best way to test it. So we don't want to use this anymore. But instead of removing the code, they just configured the flag to be always false. So they eliminated it. It was dead code from that point. But then in 2005, they were looking at their trade method. And this update state thing, that was quite expensive. So for performance reasons, they removed it there and put it on earlier on in the process. So good choice. They won performance. It was okay for 7 years. But then 2012 came. They wanted to trade in a new way, and they decided, hey, maybe we can reuse that existing flag. And they did that, made it true in production, removed that old testing code, and, well, just replaced it with their new money-making method. But then they deployed it. That was fine. They had 8 servers, but one server, well, they failed to deploy the new version, and it ran the old code. So now they were in the situation where that flag was true for all servers, but server 8 still ran the money-losing code from 2003 in a while loop without the stop condition that they removed in 2005, causing some infinite money-losing loop, losing $460 million in just 45 minutes. So, a lesson to be learned, remove old code. You can get it from your version control system. Your code base is not a museum, and well, they learned that in a hard way. There's of course also another lesson, automate things. The new version was hand copied by an engineer and he failed to do so on one server. Automate your deployment, it would have saved the day. And maybe an automated test would have caught it earlier in the process as well. Now in general, good development practices are good. They might bully you in the short term, but in the long term they can really prevent the disasters we discussed today. And still, if you make a mistake, it ends up in production, and you feel the worst developer in the world, then welcome to the club. You are not alone. And have a great lunch for now. Thanks for your attention.
Boy.
Your code is not a museum. Well, you haven't seen my repository yet.
Well, at least I know what we're doing next year. Next year we're going to automate the switchover.
Oh, yeah, it's good idea. Okay, next one.
David. Are you ready, sir?
I think so.
3, 2, 1. Have fun.
So has anyone used JNI before and actually liked using it? Feel free to raise your hand. That are 2 people, so that's more than I see in other talks. And these are the longest 15 seconds ever. So, why use Project Panama? There are lots of reasons. You can use things like IO Uring, Fuse. You can communicate with human interface devices. And of course, there's this whole AI thing that's getting quite popular, which uses a lot of C code to get it performant. SC code is performant. You can even create something that's faster than something already available in Java, like reading files. You can use liburing to read files more quickly. So there are three things you need when you want to call a C method. You need some memory, a linker, and a method handle to that method. And that's all you need to call one of those C methods. I have to hold it closer. So to create some memory, you need to allocate it using an arena. So you have the shared, the auto, confined, and global. And each of those arenas have their own characteristics, and you can create it using the arena.of something. So here is a simple table which shows you what those characteristics are. Some have a bounded lifetime, some are manually closable, and others can be accessed by multiple threads. It all differs for the type of arena that you want to use. So to allocate some memory, you need the arena.allocate method, and you tell it what value layout you want to allocate. So in this case, I allocate enough memory for a single address, so I can use it later on. So to call the C method, you also need a linker, and the linker knows how to call a C method for that specific system where the JVM is running on. And you can also use the symbol lookup to load a specific library which holds your precious C method. So to call the C method, you need to actually recreate that signature using the function descriptor, which starts with the return value, so in this case a Java int, and then you start listing all the parameters. In this case, the first one is Java long. So with that, you can now use the linker and the descriptor to find that C method. So here I'm going to find the method viewsMainReal, so that I can later on invoke it. So to invoke it, you need the invoke method, and then you just pass all the arguments that you need to pass, and then the C method is actually called. Simple as that, just three things that you'll need. So this is quite some code that you need to write. And to stop having to write that, you can also use jextract, which is a tool that you can download on that website, and it will generate all those bindings for you. So please use that, it's much easier. And then the code that it generates looks a bit like this. It doesn't scream Java, it even has the little C symbol right in front of it, but I promise you there's Java code in there, even though it doesn't look like the normal Java classes. So let's zoom in a bit in one of those classes, and you will find methods that look like this. You're working with ints, memory segments, longs. Still, you're not using all those arrays and strings that you're used to, which is what you actually want to use. So you will have to work with that. So what you will see is that with jextract, you don't have to write those bindings, but you get some some Java code that looks very C-like, and it only works for true library symbols, so static inline methods are not going to cut it. So there are also some performance tips and tricks. So you want to reuse your method handles. If you dare, you can even reuse those memory segments. And please limit the number of calls, because you still have to do that handover to that C environment. So here you'll see one C method. And as you can see, it takes a void parameter, which gets cast to a long. So what jextract generates looks a bit like this. Like this. So you get the memory segment that you have to create that holds that long value. Then you're going to do the invoke exact with that data. So you have to do some manually memory management. Can we speed it up? Yes, we can with this. I just say that it's a long value, and then I just call the invoke method. So no longer I use the invoke exact, but just the invoke, which will take care of lots of things and be just a bit quicker. So if you do this operation many times, this will be faster. So if you want the source code of all of those fancy things, you can find it here. You have 15 seconds to scan that QR code, so good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. So we've got 2 to go. Well,
3 to go.
3 to go. Yeah, we will get to the last one early. But at first, you got the mic?
Yep.
One thing, if you're holding a handheld mic ever, and you're like, don't do it like this, keep it like this. If you touch it at the far end, at your chin, you will always have good sound. It looks weird, but it's weird anyway, so never mind.
Ready?
Let's
see if I
Let's
can do
switch
that.
over.
Does it really sound good like this?
That's
Yeah,
good.
we're on, we're on, we're on.
All right, this is because I like things with five.
Wait, we're not ready yet. Hold on.
3.
It's-
We're going to talk about complexity. J&I was complex. Let's see
yeah,
what is
let's
this.
see what this is. There's a lot of complexity going on
Ready?
today. Yeah,
3, 2, 1.
go. So this is here because I like things with five. It's either a 5-minute Ignite session or it's running 5K in Utrecht with KVK at the Singeloop. I don't do 5 minutes a kilometer. I'm much slower than that, but I enjoy it. So welcome to the rabbit hole with my cursor in it. It's a place where we have all been in. It's a place where we are misassessing the level of complexity that we are dealing with. So what we need to do is accurately assess the level of complexity of the task at hand. In short, we need to clarify complexity. Now, what does it take to do that? It's gonna be important that when you are facing problems, you have to do 3 things. First, make sense of the stuff you're dealing with. Second, decide what to do, and then respond. And as I know many developers that will jump right into action, it will take some time to be speed up. Okay, so the Cynefin framework is going to help you do that. It has 5 domains to assess a level of complexity. And you always start in confusion. It sounds terrible, but it's actually the place from where you can acknowledge that you don't know yet the level of complexity you're dealing with. And you can assess what's going on. You might be in the clear domain, where everything is strictly coupled. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound. It's very clear, it's best practice. You just categorize the problem you're dealing with, and you're good to go. The next level is the complicated domain. So here you need expertise to assess what's going on and to select the good practice to follow. So to an experienced surgeon, this would be your average appendicitis. I'm not going to let you guys do that. That would be complex. In the complex domain, things are loosely coupled. So cause and effect are not clear until you have probed into the situation and analyzed in retrospect what was cause and what was effect. This is where practices emerge. In the chaotic domain, this is where production systems are failing, where you are losing millions of dollars and stuff is absolutely shit hits the fan and you have to act. Yesterday at Masters of Java, I learned you have to act from calmness. So keep that in mind. The fold is where you are actually delusionally living in the clear domain. You think you're dealing with something simple, but actually it turns out to be chaos. So software examples are simple CRUD implementations in the clear domain, distributed systems for a complicated setup. Complex is actually when you're experimenting with innovative technology, and chaos is production failures. So if you take one thing from Cynefin, I want it to be that the value of confusion is really big. Try to be aware that you have to stay in confusion before you can assess your situation. Now, in software development, to complexity theorists, there is no complexity. Everything is predictable in our code. We're just not as persistent as the machine that are executing it. So what gets in the way is our human brain. Our human brain is not a compiler. We get a memory overflow trying to assess what is going on in our landscape. So we are not built to read and write code for the whole landscape and keep it in memory. The advantages of our human brains allow us to not be alone. We get together, and by learning and sharing knowledge at conferences, we build up resources. So after today, you have more than you had this morning. And having more resources at hand will decrease the level of complexity. So you actually become a bigger expert, and you actually probe into the complex domain, therefore knowing what is going on. So next time you need to do 3 things. You got to assess the resources that you need, you got to acquire them and apply them, and then repeat. So be aware that you add resources to reduce complexity. Now, with Cynefin and the human brain in mind, I think you're all good to go, and go be a pro, make complexity clear. Thank you so much for final slides.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we discussed having a compiler in your brain last year, but that might be mistaken.
There were drones.
Yeah, I know. Don't get me started on those. Okay. Mr. Deepak, the mic's yours. If you're ready.
It's going to be hard, right?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Either you will have an awesome feeling or they will off. I mean, success anyway. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, let's talk about the polyglot mindset. Why worry about one language going obsolete when you can worry about many? So this is all anecdotal and opinionated. So there is that. This is very, okay. So don't get married to one language, because especially nowadays, the possibility of languages going obsolete is quite rising. So get married to multiple. Polyamory is in fashion, so get married to multiple. That way you are safer. There are perks of being a polyglot developer. Better be, slightly good in many than be very good in one. You are exposed to different patterns, so kind of changes your thinking. You can study good patterns from one language, apply it to others. It kind of makes you overall a better developer. You start thinking in generic solutions rather than a language-specific thing. Predominantly, people working with one language, you kind of get these habits. You break out of those. You tend to make simpler solutions. You always go for generic solutions. So again, overall makes you a better programmer. You start getting better at semantics and data structure slowly. As the number of languages you learn grows, you get better at the basics. You can see patterns. You can identify structures common across languages. Again, makes you a better programmer. Learning a new language becomes easier because, again, you are exposed to all these patterns. So you go to a new language, you automatically see the same patterns, makes it much more easier to learn. Again, makes you a better programmer. And wider career choices. Now you don't have to worry about your favorite language dying out and you going out of job. Now you can worry about multiple of those again and again. So it's fun. Very long 15 seconds. Okay. Of course, challenges makes you a jack of all, but master of none, which not a big deal these days, especially with all the tools and all the co-pilots and stuff around. It's not that much of a big deal. You start relying on your IDEs and docs more, which is a good thing in my opinion, but some people might consider that a bad thing. If you're a ninja coder, that's a bad thing. Hard to keep up with the ecosystem. That in my opinion is the biggest challenge. You have to, not just keeping up with the Node.js ecosystem, the NPM packages. Now you have to do multiple of those. So there's fun in that. If you're a masochist, there is fun in that. So lack of specific experience in one language. I don't know if companies still ask you to be like 100 years of experience in Java kind of stuff. But that could be a problem. You can't have 10 years of experience in Rust. It's not that even old. So how to approach a language? Programming is an art of seeing patterns, right? So you do the same. So learn the goal and purpose of the language, when to use it, makes you not use a hammer all the time for a screwdriver's job. Learn semantics and compare with what you know. So you make it easier for yourself. You compare with what you already learned, and then that you translate to the other language. So how things work. Learn features that are unique to that specific language, like ownership in Rust or something like that. That again increases your overall knowledge, makes you a better programmer. Finally, learn the programming paradigm if required. Like, for example, if you're learning Haskell, maybe learn functional programming. Don't be a functional purist. That is bad. Learn the memory model of language if you really want to understand the language and if you really want to hurt yourself. How to be effective in a language, that's a different story. Stick to simpler constructs, write clean code. That's the only way to be effective in any language. Don't write complex code. Please don't write complex code. Stay away from all the fancy features unless it is absolutely required. Most often times the for loop is better than writing all the recursions and all the functional stuff there. Don't fall into paradigm trap, mix and match. Nobody wants to see a functional purist writing Java code. Nobody wants to see that. Mix and match, use imperative or require. Imperative is much more performative most of the times than functional, for example. Choose the appropriate language for the situation. Not all problems can be solved by a hammer. You need a screwdriver sometimes. So, have a screwdriver and hammer in your tool belt and pick the one appropriately. And keeping up with languages, that's a hard part. So learning the basics will take you a long way. And by learning multiple languages, you get better at basics. So data structures, memory models, concurrency, that will take you a long way. Once you're good at that, you can learn new languages quite easily. Why isn't this 15 seconds? Use a good IDE or editor or plugin or whatever you like, whatever the combinations you like, because they can help you with syntax and APIs. You don't have to remember syntax and APIs. That's why we have tools. We are smart people. We use tools for things that we cannot do ourselves or we cannot remember ourselves. You just know which language to use. Let them do the rest. Catch up with the ecosystem when starting a new project. That's the best way. So forget about JavaScript for a year. When you start something, go catch up on all the new frameworks. Take 1 year to learn and then start your new project. So thank you. And if you want a better version, QR code.
I love the comment, oh, that was hard, because now this is 15 seconds. Okay, these were all the planned ignites. But actually there was one more, and that person couldn't, unfortunately, made it here. So we decided to do a little gimmick. Like, who knows what a blind ignite is? Who was here last year? So last year, both him and me individually did a blind ignite. This time, we decided to up our game. So Jaap over there, hi Jaap, you created a slide deck for us. We don't know what the slide deck is. So let's start.
Let's start. Well,
I have no clue. I have 15 seconds to talk about something, and then we continue. So I will leave the mic, this one over there. This is total improvisation.
3, 2, 1.
Just in time. So this means I am making this up on the spot. I've got 15 seconds to do this, and Jaap had specific instructions. Slide 1 is for you, slide 2 is for him, etc., etc. So what we do is we see a slide just as you see it, and at that point,
well, my name is Jeroen, and I excel at doing stuff just in time. I mean, it's a paradigm for the courageous. The title says it all. You have to be courageous to do that, or just completely stupid. I think we're probably both.
Well, my name is Brian. I pretend to do everything in time, but basically I'm always late. If you saw me this morning, I was running around making sure that cable worked, that thing, and we could have done that yesterday. Anyway, we probably are the opposites, although we pretend not to be.
And for some reason, I mean, the essence of just-in-time software development is that at some point the clock stops running. I'm guessing there will be some animation going on now in a bit. I mean, in software development, we're always running out of time to build the next version of production.
But are you? I mean, you can wake up screaming, and does that matter? I think you said we're running out of time, but what is time? Time is something we created ourselves. I mean, this was me this morning, but that was not because of me. That was because someone was snoring next to me.
But that means that you have to take into account the whole work-life balance. I mean, you can do stuff JIT, but make sure that you're always on time. Make sure that you're always getting that balance. Make sure that you get enough sleep and get enough. I don't know what that guy on the left is doing. It's some emoji. Anybody expert in emoji over here? Oh.
So yeah, there are things you can do things efficiently. You can do things last minute, but actually everything is total chaos.
That's
and
awesome.
this is the place where I love to excel. Making things up, total chaos, and like I don't know what's coming up next, but I don't care.
But if you have the right idea, then you can ask the right questions to make sure that you're still in time and you can control that chaos. I mean, that chaos is coming back to the presentation of Marianne. We can control chaos if we embrace that right problem-solving approach and come up with...
But can we? I mean, sometimes you need to update your slides, and you need to update your slides just in time. Or, in some cases, not getting hacked on stage is also a thing, by the way. If you're going back to that 2021 presentation that somebody was calling out, getting hacked on stage happened at that point. So
you will end up running into a lot of bugs. You have to do bug fixing, you have to push it now, you have to commit it, you have to make sure that you automate stuff and get it running. And I think that's probably just me at this moment. It's 8 minutes to gone.
Well, yeah, just in time estimations, great success. That's always a Friday for me. March 6th was a Friday. I didn't say which year it was, but don't push on Friday is a myth. Push on Friday and then go and have weekend. Let somebody else take care of it. So
exactly. And what will happen? At first, you will be happy. You might feel a bit agonized that I'm doing things wrong. You will drink coffee because we're Java developers. We do Java beans. And in the end, everything will be fine and smooth sailing. If you embrace the chaos, you will be better in the end.
But yeah, just-in-time security. I mean, Log4Shell came out. You go to sleep. You have some beers, and then you're like, just wait until somebody patches it. That is actually how security problems go away. Don't look at it, pretend they're not there, somebody will patch it, and go.
And in the end, I mean, we're all having these hypes about doing waterfall, doing agile. Why not embrace the waterfall approach and embrace that chaos again? I mean, put the whole JIT stuff into perspective. We're doing waterfall, we're just doing it just in time and coming up with the plan beforehand and then changing it.
But okay, there are tools. Obviously, there's Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, and there's the panic button, but more of that, like if you have enough caffeine, and you will have Copilot installed, that will even be better, because like, it's great.
And in the end, you will make a lot of money. People, this is really, I think, the most important presentation of this day. Embracing the chaos will make sure that you get a lot of money. And the unexpected thing of last-minute coding is profit. This is the answer to profit.
Yeah, so the evolution of procrastination is make sure you do everything at the last minute so you can make as much profit as possible. Make sure that you go around, hunt around, procrastinate even more, and then at the last minute do more so you can both enjoy free time and make money at the same way.
And who needs documentation anyway? I mean, we can spend a lot of time doing that shit, but the documentation is out of date anyway. When everybody reads it, well, Deepak was talking about that you need to read it. When everybody reads it. So just don't think about documentation. Embrace the chaos and
be just in time. For exactly that.
Exactly.
Be just in time. Nobody needs documentation. I mean, we have 2 million testers in production. If something goes wrong, they will tell me. I don't care about documentation, or else I can generate it by Copilot. So
things can wait. Make sure that you always delay to the last possible time. That's the smart move to do here, people. Make sure that you just stay relaxed and be comfortable. I mean, we're not really relaxed right now, but you can get things going that way. Jeez, is this the end one? It's the last one. We're done!
We're done! Okay, just for statistics, my heart rate was a minute ago over 140. I'm now waiting for the next measurements.
Yeah, 130.
154. I am not kidding, 154. Thank you for staying as long. Enjoy the rest of jfall. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.